So in this example, I'm going to show how I'll take some elements that I've put in my development database, in my new green dev database, and I'm going to move them into production in my new green database. And this will demonstrate how we're going to save change management data, and then also how we're going to keep track of changes that have happened as a result of those changes. So first I want to go into my new green database, and my new green database originally didn't have this node in here for Jacksonville. So I added some cracking process and some equipment for Jacksonville that doesn't exist in the production database. If I go over here to my new database or my production database, we can see that there's no Jacksonville in there. In my development database, I will go to Jacksonville here, and I'm going to create an XML file. I'm going to export all of this into XML. So that'll have all the things that I'm adding, and I can document that in my change management process. And then I'm going to use my Git repository to keep track of the changes to my overall new green database. So here in Jacksonville, I'm going to come here and I will export it. So export it to a file, and I've got, let's see, CM new green. I have this right here. So I'm going to put it in my directory that I created for this particular change. I'm going to tell it to include all reference objects so that if any of these have additional templates or anything in there, it's going to bring those. And I want it to bring in any default values and security settings. So if I've set all that up in my development database, then all of that will get imported into my production database. So I just export that. You can see that it exports the templates that I reference, which are the unit, boiler, cooling fan, and then it adds, Jacksonville, the cracking process, the equipment, and the two pieces of equipment there. So now in my change management directory, you can see I've got my AF change management directory. All the new green database stuff will go here, and I should have a directory for each one of my databases that I'm tracking. And I put the year, the month, the day, so that they'll all sort in alphabetical order chronologically, automatically. So I've got the change management process that we did on this date for the new green database. I'll have a tracking document that says this is what we changed, with some documentation for that. That'll be based on a template. Right now this is just an empty file as an example. And then I have my XML file that has the changes that I'm going to import into my new database. So jacksonville.xml, if this will be in my change management, and it'll show what I imported into the production database for this CM request. If I go up to my directory here, I've got my database Git. So these are my Git repositories for my databases. So I have newgreen.xml, which is the whole new green production database that's been reported into that's been exported into an XML file, and you can see that it's fairly large. And we can see this Git program right here, or this Git directory right here, has the Git objects. So that's what's keeping track of my changes. This new green XML database will just update. It'll be updated periodically, but it'll always just be new green XML, and we'll keep track of the changes over time in Git. So in my GitHub desktop, this is a free utility that's available that you can download to look at Git repositories. So I've opened up my new green repository, and you can see I haven't changed anything since I did my initial commit. But if I look in the history, I can just see that I've got my initial commit. So this is just my first version of the new green XML file that I imported into Git here. So this has got everything that's in that new green database just exported into an XML file. So this is my original new green before I make any changes, before I import my Jacksonville node into my database. Okay, so I go to my new green production database. I'm going to open that up, and I would like to import my Jacksonville node now. Now, unfortunately, if I go to new green here and I right click, I'd really like to be able to export. I can export this node to a file. It's not going to let me import the new stuff in that location. So I'm going to have to go to elements here and import here. So I'm going to import it, and I'm going to go to my directory and get my jacksonville.xml file. I want to let it create or edit, update anything that's in there. I'm not going to do an automatic check-in yet because I don't want it to check in, commit this to the database just yet because I'm going to have to move some things around first. Creator update pi points, we're not going to do that automatically. We'll do that manually later. And I want it to disable any new analyses or notifications. So I don't want to turn those on until I'm ready to do it. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to go through. It reads that XML file that I just wrote to the hard drive, and it puts my Jacksonville stuff right here. Now I really want it here, right? So I'm going to copy it and paste it into the location that I want. I'm going to delete this initial, okay, and I'm only going to delete, it's going to require a check-in. So now I've got, you can see right here that my new green is changed and my Jacksonville is changed, and I haven't checked this in yet, so everybody else can't see it. Gives me an opportunity to make sure it's in the right place and I've done the right thing. You can see that all my stuff is right here. Okay, so at this point I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and check it in. That's going to commit it to my database. So now you can see, everybody else can see this now, it's in there. Now what I want to do is I want to go take my new green database, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to export to a file again. And I'm going to go to my directory, not my CM directory, but my Git, and I want to overwrite this file. Okay, so it's going to ask me if I want to replace it. I'm going to tell it yes. I'm going to tell it to, include all reference objects, include my security settings, include default values, and I'm going to export that. So that overwrites my new green file, and so now I should be able to go look and see my changes in there. We're going to do that next. Okay, so here I am in my GitHub desktop client application, and I can look now in my repository, and it notices that I've got changes to that new green.xml file. So since I exported my database after I made the changes, we can see that there was a change here that the created time changed because I changed the file, and we can see all this green and the pluses here, or all of that says that all of this is new. So I can see my Jacksonville element has been created, and everything underneath that is all new. Okay, so now I want to go. I've got in my history, I've just got my initial commit, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to make a new. Entry. So I'm going to commit this to my history. So I'm going to say added Jacksonville. Okay, so now it's going to have a new commit that says that I added Jacksonville. So I commit that to my history now, and so now I've got my initial commit, which this was my initial file, and then I've got where I added Jacksonville, and it shows me what was in there and what the changes were to the file. So I can see that I can see what changed from the initial commit, and I can also go here and look at my initial commit and see what it looked like. More importantly, if I ever want to go back to what this was, I can go check this out. So I can go get that new green XML file before Jacksonville was created, and if I wanted to, I could restore that and then go and import it into AF in a different database. I could create a new database and pull that in and see what it looked like. Okay, so that allows me to go back in time. Let's say for some reason this was, I kind of messed up something here and I wanted to go back and reverse it. I could always just go back and import this XML, and it would take out that Jacksonville stuff and restore it to how it was in this initial commit. So not only do I have my CM directory with the Jacksonville.xml file with the stuff that I changed that was in there that I imported, I'm going to have a change management document that's going to kind of outline, yes, I added Jacksonville, this is why I did it, maybe I made some other changes to some templates and things like that, but I'll have some documentation saying that, and then I'll have my history of what's been done here with the ability to go back and revert my XML file to that, and then I could always just go back and re-import that XML file. So this should give me history and change management and documentation of what has changed in the structure, enough to give us a good handle on the changes and the change management process. Should make it orderly. Should, if something changes or we have some sort of problem, we'll be able to go back to the history here and see when we made changes. So maybe if a problem starts happening, maybe it's a month ago something started happening, we can go back into our history, our Git history here, and see what changes we made, and maybe see what nodes changed, and see if maybe that had something to do with the maybe the unintended consequences that we're seeing. So this should give us a nice, manageable change management process. I'm sure that we'll learn a lot as we go about it and do it, but I think that this is a good first attempt at implementing some sort of a regimented change management process that allows us to track more accurately what's been changed and when and by who, and to also be able to maybe go back and revert to a previous time if we need to, if we need to maybe pull out some changes or revert back to something if we have some problems.